Do you think ADHD has got a lot to do with addiction?
Yes. I think we have something like 8 or 9 addictions, they say, in our lifetime. So we're normally addicted to sex, addicted to booze, addicted to puff, addicted to, anything. It could even be fucking fitness. So,
yeah.
But if you think about it, it's obvious. Everything we do with an emotional charge, we hyperfocus.
Yeah.
So the goodness with ADHD, if you learn how to use it as your weapon, is that we hyperfocus.
Yeah.
So they say that we can't focus with ADHD, which is a load of bollocks. We can't focus on things that we don't connect to with an emotional charge. So if you was in a history class and talked about Second World War, to me as a kid, that was great. The pictures in the book were great, boring.
Yeah.
My dad loved it because his dad was in it. I didn't give a fuck about it. Like, so I couldn't listen to the geezer go on about the fucking shit. I didn't care.
Yeah, yeah.
So I couldn't, as he'd be talking to me, I'd be trying to learn.
But if they were to talk to you about gangsters or something like that.
Miami Dali, gangsters or something, mafia, or boxing, I would have been fucking taking everything in, and I could basically tell you everything he said word for word. Yeah. But I haven't got a choice. I've got a choice which one I can do. I've got to have that connection, and I find with ADHD, once we get a connection to something, then we hyper focus.
It's like me with comedy. Like my mind is going on it all the time. But
it's like us with drink, drugs.
Yeah.
Comedy.
I think that the big one for people with, I recently got diagnosed with ADHD, which wasn't a big shock to me, but I mean the intensity of the
your fucking leg ain't stopped going.
I know. But like when I can remember actually I was filming Mr. Kiss, the next film that I got coming out. I was filming it and I had my assessment online on Zoom, and I'd done my first pre-assessment with this independent doctor. Actually, it was a woman, and I had this first assessment and it was like half hour, 45 minutes, and at the end she goes, right, okay, so part of the assessment was the questions I was asking you, but the other part of the assessment is a visual, like me watching you. And I said, so what do you think? Do you think I should go for the full assessment? Do you think I've got ADHD? She said 100%. She said you moved position 11 times. And I was in the fucking travel lodge room. So I was lying like that first of all, then I was sitting on the bed, then I was in the bathroom. She said, you even brushed your teeth while we were having this fucking meeting. I was like, what? She was like, yeah.
I remember you said it.
Yeah, and then but when they said to me about medication, I was like, well, look, I'm a creative mind.
We need to move to think. A lot of the greatest dancers and athletes, we need to move to think. If we don't move, when you was in school and said, go sit still, you try thinking, you can't fucking think. Like, we actually need to sometimes get our neurology moving for our brain to start.
Yeah, and I believe like I'd done a video this morning on my Instagram saying I was 50 days sober, and on the video,
amazing.
On the video, I said I thought I was riddled with mental health issues, anxiety, depression. I thought that I had I did have anger management problems, like massive mood swings, self-destruct, it was the end of the fucking world. If on a come down I had an argument with my missus, I'd be like, fuck you, fuck this. I was horrific, right? It was like the end of the world, like this, my abandonment issues and all that shit. Now that I've cut out the drugs and the alcohol, I don't feel any of that.
No.
As long as I get up and I get my exercise in the morning, it calms my fucking ADHD down, I guess, a little bit. But if I get my exercise in, I'm like, woo, check me out. I'm a fucking winner. Look how sexy I am. Go on Instagram, show people how sexy I am. I'm like, look how sexy I am in the boxing gym. Now, watch how funny I'm going to be. But I mean, it's a mindset thing, isn't it?
But have you noticed, well, even like when you probably like your missus says something, if you was drunk, you can bite on stuff. You actually notice when we're like,
yeah.
If she's drunk and you're sober now, you probably noticed that.
You
don't bite. You just sort of go.
I mean,
look at you. Your leg.
Something that goes.
Go over your head, doesn't it? But something. If you're drunk, you're on it.
Yeah. So I mean, and I was always either. I mean, this is another thing that I've learned, and I said in my video, like I thought an alcoholic. I mean, I know. It's hard to use the term alcoholic because you don't want to, and or addiction and stuff like that. And I think this is something that a lot of lads need to listen to. Is that I thought if. You'd have to wake up and be alcohol dependent or drug dependent daily for it to be an issue for you. But for me, even though it was like 2 or 3 or 1 or 2 sessions a week, really I was either drunk or I was hungover on a come down. And if you've got like ADHD or you have got underlying mental health issues, like stuff that's happened in the past or any form of trauma, you can't control your emotions enough. And like even down to little things. I mean, she still says it to me all the time now. When I make a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, because we've got like a white top, if I don't wipe it, and it stains, it's like her pet hate. And she used to say to me, and this is how fucking arrogant and an arsehole I was when I was hungover. She'd say, fucking have a look. I say, I bought the fucking kitchen. Like, shut up, man. Yeah. Like, leave me alone. Like, haven't you got nothing else to do? Now, like, just the other day, I'm like, oh shit, sorry, man. Sorry, I will get it. I'll get it. I'm sorry. Like, and I'll take the piss out of her a little bit, but it's nice. Do you know what I mean? And like, now we laugh at it. Or she'd be on eggshells a little bit, not wanting to say stuff. Do you know what I mean?
I love that. Yeah. And another thing about being sober, I think, is that it's nice to know if you do feel anxious, it's not because of a substance, it's not because of anything, it's because you're just sitting with yourself. And I found that hard as well. I found, like, looking back, I've had so many realisations, and looking back at my life and taking ownership of all the times I've been a dick when I've been lagging. And I look at a lot of the arguments I've had with exes and lots of things, you know, in the past I've done, and work opportunities are fucked up. Even my driving lessons as a kid, I didn't turn up to. When you look back, you have to sit with yourself, and
it's hard, isn't it?
It's hard, but I think that's the first step. If you can sit with yourself, and that's what people don't want to do. Yeah, that is I think that's one of the biggest. That's the most lessons behind it.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of I'm not sure what days I'm going to put this out on, because I haven't started putting them out yet. Whether I put it out on a Sunday or stuff like that. But if I was to put this podcast out on a Sunday and I've promoted it on my social media, I guarantee there's a lot of lads that have had a sesh over the weekend.
The horrors,
and they're going to have the horrors. They're going to listen to this, and it's a real vicious circle, I think, Rob, because. Especially if you're going through something really hard in life at the moment, like for instance, if you were going, say for instance, you broke up with your missus or your wife and you can't see your kids, right? Just as an example, there could be anything that you're going through. Say for instance, you can't see your kids at the moment, you're working hard all week, you've got no one to talk to, nothing, you know, nothing to do, you know, and you're like, you know, I fucking need to relax, and you think that drinking and getting on the session is going to relax you, but it don't. It's like sticking your head in the fucking sand, right? Whatever's going on around you, you can ignore it for a bit, but when you pull your head out of the sand, not only is it still going to be there, it's going to be 10 times worse, because you've got the anxiety and the fear now, and the depression, and whatever fucking mistakes you've made when you've been drunk and stuff. Getting out of that circle is one of the hardest things. And for me, you know, the 6 months and thinking I could go back to it and not being able to, and now being out of it. The reason why I get up and I write my journal and I do my thing and everything is to remind me how good it is now and to stay in it. But what advice would you give to anyone right now that's stuck in that loop, in that negative circle?
Well, see, I look at things different now because of there's the new science. Ain't even new science. It's about fucking 12 years old now. The reticular activating system. Yeah.
What is that?
It's a group of neurons at the bottom of the brain that works as a filtering system. So it's what you focus on, you become, and you're going to see more evidence of it. So you're going to see signs, and it takes information that you see and what's going on around you and matches your belief system. So it's called a confirmation bias. If you read a book, we like to read things that we agree with, right? That's what we enjoy to read, and films we like to watch. So when your missus is pregnant with your first child, every fucker's pregnant. You see pregnant women everywhere. When you want to buy a new car, or your dad buys a new car as a kid, you see that fucker you never seen the car before. All of a sudden, everywhere you go, you see the cars. That's the reticular activating system. What you focus on, you become. It's the oldest proverb of all time. So these neurons, we can reprogram. So your neurons, these have all been set through your beliefs. Your mum and dad's programmed them to you, your friends, habits by going out, getting drunk and whatever. Repetition can program it. But once it kicks in, it runs in a subconscious program, if you like. But then the unconscious mind, this unconscious part of the brain keeps looking for the information for it to be true to work it out. So it can be very destructive, or it can be very. That's what makes you a billionaire or millionaire. You know, that's what, you know, Mel Robbins does a thing. If you want to look on YouTube, called the #1 habit billionaires make. Yeah, and if you click it on YouTube, you'll see it's a video about the reticular activating system. That's all she talks about. Visualization. You know, she says if you close your eyes, you might feel stupid at the beginning. You've never done it before. You close your eyes and you visualize a goal. You might feel silly, but, you know, don't worry. It's going to start to feel good, because the schooling system take it away from us, that visualization. It's all about academic work, which is all very auditory, self-talk language. People say they're thinking, and 99% of the time mean they've been thinking in self-talk, yeah? But we can think in vision. We've got other senses. We've got our 5 senses. So it is listening to words as well, the RES system. That's why affirmations are good. But when you visualize for 20 to 30 days, you reprogram your brain. You actually rewire these neurons to focus information. So for me, when people say, listen, it's an hard one, because there's so many people out there who it works for. So I'm not taking it away. I don't want no one to try changing it. But if you're in AA and you're running for the program, you stick to it, mate. You've done well. You fucking saved your life. Good on you, yeah? But for me, just might be a bit controversial to a lot of addicts out there, but I don't agree with keep saying I am an alcoholic, and I'll tell you why. The reticular activating's fucking listening. So if you do 6 months, right, without a drink, and you're saying I'm an alcoholic now, your body's out of the shock of the alcohol, right? You ain't craving it. It's out your fucking system. It's habit, yeah? It's all about the neurons, and these neurons, it's a habit, subconscious program. Now, you're starting to change your program. Why do you have to keep identifying yourself as an alcoholic? Because what will happen is 100%, the minute you take that drink, if you do have a drink 6 months later, a year later, the minute your brain's now programmed to go, I am an alcoholic. Now what I'll do is get fucked. Go and all the packet on, go and get a sniff. You start getting absolutely laggy before you know it. 4 days later, you're hiding bottles under the sofa again. And because you've identified. So it will act as if you are. So I'm not saying admit you're an alcoholic at the beginning, but then once you go through that transition, if that works for you, stop saying it. Start saying, I am clean, I am clean.
Menace to sobriety. Just a minute, just a minute.